Sentai, I'm Mars Girl. We're still talking about Battle Fever J. This week we're talking about episodes 15 through 21. Finally, things are starting to look a little bit different on the series, and I'm glad to finally be talking about a few positive changes, although there's still a few negatives that are reoccurring from episode to episode. But let's just kind of gloss over the names of a few monsters that showed up. We saw, for example, Snail Monster, Fighting Monster, Blue Vein Monster, Magnet Monster, Notch Tooth Monster, and Dinosaur Monster. In the case of both Notch Tooth Monster and Dinosaur Monster, neither one of them served really much of any purpose at all. They kind of existed just to be fought at the end of the episode, and in the case of Notch Tooth Monster, he exploded. But in the case of Dinosaur Monster, we're seeing overarching storylines, and he is not yet dead, so I have not yet seen what happens to this guy. He's gonna blow up, but I haven't seen how that happens just yet. And speaking of overarching storylines, this is where we have now finally introduced the character of Salome, who works for Egos. In fact, she was someone who worked for the American branch of Egos, so she's a brand new villain to the series, and I really quite enjoy her. I'm wondering about who this actress is, because I tried to find her, and I wasn't doing such a great job, and maybe I'll have some more information for you guys in the coming weeks or something, but as of right now, I don't really know who exactly she is, but they keep describing her as a pro wrestler type looking woman, and part of me wonders, well, was she really a pro wrestler? Because she does kind of look like it, and they show her off as being really strong, and her body is just so lean and very muscular. Her costume has this deep drop, this V-neck drop, way past her breasts, down to the middle of her stomach, and, you know, she's got nothing up here, and that typically happens when somebody is just super working out all the time, doing a whole lot of physical stuff, much like a pro wrestler would, and for that reason I wonder, oh, who really was she? And I just haven't found that information yet, but I find her to be very interesting. So at about episode 19 is when Salome shows up. And Salome, again, she comes from America, and she shows up in Japan, and suddenly she just starts stealing money. And actually, Satan Egos, the leader of Egos, has no idea who she is, and he's like, who's this person who's impersonating police officers and stealing all of this cash and stuff? Hey, Commander Header, go and find out who she is. And then he goes and he's like, oh, it's Salome, well, I trained you. And so that made me wonder for just a second, oh, you trained her? She can't possibly be that good, because I haven't seen you do anything. But by the end of the episode, the most amazing thing happens. There's a fight between all the members of Battle Fever, and then there's Salome and Commander Header. And Commander Header is amazingly holding his own in this fight. He's doing all these friggin' outrageous flips, and he's throwing all these bladed weapons that are coming out of, like, end space or a bag of holding or something, and he's pretty hardcore. And in fact, both Salome and Commander Header then take an explosive pentaforce to the face, and neither one of them dies. Now granted, Commander Header does have to be carried off limping, and so now for the last few episodes that I've watched, Salome is currently in charge of a lot of different Egos business, while Commander Header is off recharging, healing, whatever it takes for him to get put back into the forefront again. So he's not gone completely. In fact, his face has shown up once or twice in subsequent episodes, but he's not doing anything right now. The only thing that made me kind of uncomfortable with Salome's introduction is that she starts telling the members of Battle Fever who have temporarily captured her, ah, you don't know who I am. You don't know just how strong I am. If you knew me, you'd be afraid of me. In America, I was the person who assassinated everybody secretly. And then it goes and it shows all these photographs of all these legit famous people who were assassinated, which includes JFK, and part of me was like, ooh, that sits a little uncomfortably in my stomach. It's a little hard to watch, similar to Injaka Dengekitai, the episode where they directly reference the Holocaust and show photographs, not super graphic photographs, and mind you, these are not photographs of, like, JFK having been shot. Just a photo of JFK and many other folks. It's just hard to look at, just looking back and knowing. With some of these overarching episodes trying to tell a bigger story, we've actually had a couple of episodes where the final battles do not lead to a giant robot battle in the end. So the episode where Salome shows up and she has to carry off Commander Header, their fight was pretty long and pretty substantial. It was a good fight, and I guess it really didn't need a giant battle, a giant robot battle, to finish the episode off. Or this most recent episode I just watched, episode 21, which has a dinosaur monster in it. That has an overarching story of itself that did not end in a giant robot battle. In fact, it's a two-parter. So the story behind this two-parter episode is that there's a dude running around with this knife with this inscription on it, and the inscription is apparently the secret location of some kind of pirate treasure, and it's a riddle. And so the members of Battle Fever have to go and figure out, okay, why is it that Agos wants this knife? What is the treasure and why do they want it so bad? They eventually do find the treasure, but it ends up in the hands of Agos anyway, and we don't yet know what the treasure is, and I'm assuming in this next episode we're gonna find out. So it's cool to be talking about this like I'm excited to see what's coming, as if it hasn't already aired yet, but to stop at episode 21 when I know 22 will round out this little hunk of storyline, it's kind of fun. But for as fun as some of this overarching stuff has become, there's still a few problems. Really, one major problem, and it continues to be Miss America. In fact, I can't help but feel like it's gotten even worse. In this most recent episode, her one and only line was, "Hi." And that was it, and she was gone. Or in the case of episode, I believe it was 20, there's three girls who are terrified of a ghost of a girl who appears to have committed suicide by jumping out of her window. And so the girls run to the members of Battle Fever to ask them for help, to watch over them at night to see what it is that's actually making all of this noise. Not once does Diane, the actress for Miss America, show up in the episode. Miss America doesn't show up until it's the very end, and you know, the whole 5-team group had to show up and do the final battle. And even then, it's kind of like she came out of nowhere, and she didn't show up once. And so, all 4 male members of Battle Fever have to try and sneak into this girls' dormitory, and they do stupid things like really badly cross-dressing for comedic effect, I guess. And I'm just sitting here thinking, dudes, you have a female member of your team who could easily do this job for you. Why are you not asking her for help? You don't even look for her to ask, like, hey, will you do this? Like, if they didn't have access to her, or if they didn't want to use her, perhaps because of a language barrier or something, the least they could have done was shown her for like a second and say, yeah, well, we're trying to ask you for help here, will you please do it for me? And then at least have her come up with an excuse, a reason why she won't go and help you guys out, and instead she just plain doesn't show up at all. It's awful. I hope this actress leaves very, very soon. I want her to go away and be replaced with somebody better who actually shows up and does her friggin' Battle Fever job. And that's the situation that Battle Fever J currently is at by episode 21, so next week we'll be going on to 22 and onward. Really excited to be continuing this right along with you guys. Thank you as always to our Patreon contributors over at patreon.com/MarsGirl. If you're at all interested in learning more about the rewards of becoming a Patreon member, please go ahead and go to the Patreon page and check it out. Also, check me out on marsgirl.tumblr.com, where I'm writing episode synopses as I'm watching these episodes, and it's a whole heck of a lot of fun for everybody. And one final thank you to all of you who have continued to follow my work as we've just gotten off of blip.tv, completely shutting down, where I used to host almost all of my video reviews. And now that we're moving over here to YouTube, this channel is going to slowly start to fill up with more of that older content, and of course, brand new content for those of you who've been with me forever, or who might just be getting into any of my work to begin with. Thank you guys for showing up, for taking interest in the work that I do, and I hope to be able to continue to provide you with entertainment. So thank you very much, you guys. I can't wait to be talking to you guys more next week.